Hey everyone, it's Jake the Ashen Hollow. I'm doing things a bit different in this video. I want to present the story in a short cinematic for you to enjoy, and then I'll reflect on it after that is over. There isn't too much lore behind the Swordmaster, but I do jump into some pretty interesting stuff, so be sure to stick around. So there are a couple things I want to talk to you about now that the cinematic is over. We don't really know the identity of the Swordmaster, but I would like to dive into that for a moment. Now I waited until the end to bring this up because it does reference cut content and I didn't want to reference it as actual lore, but I do think it's interesting to consider, so we'll look at that now. So the cut content is a storyline involving Shiva of the East, where he tells you about the Chaos Blade, and when you get it, he kills you and retreats to the Painted World. But what he says specifically is, have you heard of the Chaos Blade, the legendary sword of the ancient undead master Makoto? Its blade a swirling vortex. I heard it's somewhere around here, but I can't find it. I believe this was supposed to be said when we find Shiva down in Blighttown, since we don't really know why he's there, and if he was looking for the Chaos Blade and heard it was around here, then of course being close to Quelaag is key. Anyways, he said the sword is of the ancient undead master Makoto. I like to think that the Swordmaster is this Makoto, who surprisingly is also a master of swords. So I'm not sure who was in possession of this sword first, Quelaag or Makoto. The Chaos Blade description in Dark Souls 1 says, a curved sword born from the soul of Quelaag. This blade inherits only the chaotic nature of Quelaag and has a unique speckled design. I think based on this, the sword was originally Quelaag's. Now I'm unsure if Makoto or the Swordmaster received the sword from Quelaag or if he actually killed her to get it, since we know the boss weapons coming from their soul is somewhat of a gameplay mechanic for the players. But there is something that made me think that perhaps the Swordmaster and Quelaag were in cahoots together. If you look closely at the fire coming off demons, you'll notice that it is actually floating demonic text of sort, or demonic ruins. I'm not sure what they say at all, but that isn't too important right now. but we've seen them on Ceaseless Discharge, the Bed of Chaos, and Quelaag herself. So that in and of itself is super interesting. But what else I thought was interesting is the tattoo choices you have in Dark Souls 3. There are 2 text tattoos you can plop onto your character's forehead, but the letters look very similar to these demonic letters, so you can imagine my surprise when I found this same tattoo stamped upon the Swordmaster. I kind of screwed with the photo here a little bit to bring the tattoo out more, just so you could see that I'm not yanking your chains. So we find the Chaos Blade in the Untinted Graves in the same location we find the Swordmaster at in our Firelink Shrine, which I think is highly indicative that he possessed the blade. And in fact, when you summon him, he wields the Chaos Blade, which the Chaos Blade in Dark Souls 3 reads, a curved sword of unknown origin bearing uncanny streaks on its blade. The uncanny streaks in reference to the same Chaos Blade born from Quelaag. I know this info is quite minimal, but my guess is that the Swordmaster is supposed to be Makoto and is in some way connected to Quelaag in some sort of amicable relationship. Now, I'm not entirely sure where to go with this information at the moment. Again, a chunk of it is based on cut content, so kind of take that with a grain of salt, because it was, in the end, cut from the game, so there is that. But either way, just thought you may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, everyone.